Welcome to Game, Set and Chat, where we're serving up tennis talk every week to help you improve your game. Philip, episode two. Equipment. I'm excited for this one. Very, very excited to talk equipment.
All the hot takes. All the hot takes.
So, before we get going with equipment, how about that theme tune?
Yes, by Charles Cornelissen.
By Charles Cornelissen, Bluefield 1. Check it out on YouTube. Great tennis player, Charles. Strikes a massive forehand. He dubbed that intro music "Crushing," which I think is
I like it.
Very appropriate. So, Charles, we appreciate you.
And timely that we mention it today because he's on a little bit of an equipment journey himself right now.
Is he? I love it.
He's trying to find racket and string combo that he likes.
He'll be tuning in.
Yeah.
So I like to kind of call this episode like all the gear, no idea. I think that's appropriate. I have pretty good memories of me and my dad laughing about going to tournaments together and seeing people with all the equipment in the world.
Yeah.
And I have plenty of funny equipment stories. I'm going to start the viewers with one. My first tournament in England, I walk out on court and, I have no idea what I'm doing, right? I have a Tesco bag with my rackets in. For those of you that aren't English, which is probably most of you, Tesco is like Walmart. So I had literally a Walmart shopping bag with my tennis rackets in, and I walk on court to see a player with just all the gear, right?
Yes.
And I was like, oh my goodness, this is Roger Federer. And it just shows to show if you have all the gear, sometimes you can psych people out with it.
Yeah.
But I've also seen it go the other way.
The guy just shows up with a racket and a can of balls and then just kicks your butt.
Absolutely. This is the equipment equipment. I was really funny. I was coaching this morning, and if you're listening, you'll know who you are. But I already got asked an equipment question this morning.
Yeah.
I got asked, hey, what difference does the string pattern make for my tennis racket?
Yeah.
And I think that's the beauty of what we're about to do, because like we said in the previous pod, our welcome pod, we spoke about how we can talk about things that we don't want to take time out of our lessons for.
Yes.
And I'm really excited to be able to point the members towards our pod and point people towards our pod when they have racket questions.
Yes.
Hopefully we can get to some of those most basic kind of concepts today.
Yeah, and we'll cover the basics today, and then, hopefully in future episodes, if we get feedback, we can go deep dives on things, because we're not going to take up enough time to go into everything and totally nerd out on all of it.
Yeah, this will be your biggest bang for your buck.
Yeah.
I'm walking out there. What do I do with equipment? What means what?
So with rackets, basically, when you're first getting going, it doesn't matter.
I completely agree with that.
Does not matter. Because
the amount of people that walk out, hey, I want to buy a racket immediately. What racket do I buy? I say, stop right there.
Go to Walmart.
Or even better, find a friend's used racket and just play with that for a while, because it really doesn't make any difference.
It won't make a bit of difference. You're not going to know a spin frame from a power frame, from a control frame, poly versus multi. You're not going to have any clue, right? And weight of it and all that kind of stuff. Like, it won't mean a thing. And here's the hot take. Even as you get into tennis and you play a long time, it's still not going to mean anything to your game. Not really.
True. You have to get really far along.
You have to get in really far along where it's going to start meaning something. Now, that doesn't mean that the racket and the strings aren't important. Because if you find a racket that you really like, the way it feels, the way it looks, whatever about that racket is you like, and you feel confident with that racket, and the same with strings, then you will play better because you are confident in it.
100%.
But it does not mean that the racket itself is making you better.
Correct. It's about feel good and play good.
Play good, that's
and
correct.
You don't have to justify it.
Nope.
You just pick up a racket, and I do this all the time. Someone will come to my lesson, they'll say, hey, I'm looking for a new racket. And, I'll just say, right, let's try and put you holding as many frames as possible,
Yeah.
and we'll just sift through them, and I'm just looking for them to tell me what they like. And
Correct.
invariably, they'll pick up a frame and they'll go, ooh.
This is pretty.
and then I'll give them all the other frames, right? And
Yeah.
you can see them looking at the one frame they like on the side. They go, yeah, but I really like that one.
Yeah.
They have no idea why, and that is fine.
Yes.
Choose that frame.
Yes.
Because look good, feel good.
Look good, feel good.
What is your favorite frame of all time?
The one I'm currently using.
Really? I have such fond memories of my Dunlop Biomimetic 500 Tour from like 2010.
But the thing is I have not been playing that long.
True.
So, and the frame I use is the Yonex Percept 100D, which is the big difference. It's the dense string pattern, so it's an 1819 instead of a 1619.
Which
difference.
gets us into string patterns
patterns,
right here. We
right.
can just dive into it.
Well, what I was going to say is though, when most people would look at that racket and say, he's not good enough to swing that racket, and that's probably right. But I feel confident with it. I feel like when I swing fast, the ball comes off fast. When I swing slow, it comes off slow. I feel like I can put the ball where I want, and so it gives me confidence to swing more freely, which is back to the first point.
Yeah.
So therefore, I play better with it.
Yeah.
Not necessarily because I'm using everything that frame can give you, because I'm not.
And if you
But-
went to the best coaches in the world and you say, hey, I want to be a pro tennis player, they would not be giving you that frame to start with. They'd be
No.
saying, hey, we need to play with this. This is going to get us better results in the meantime, la-di-da-da. But that's going for that
Yeah.
extra 1%.
They'd be handing me an E-Zone 100.
The reason why I like to
So-
bring up my old Dunlop racket
Yeah.
is to kind of make the point too that rackets haven't changed as much as people think. And I feel like
Not in the last 20
frames
years,
from 2010, 2015 are still plenty good enough, which
Yes.
I just want to mention for our viewers, if you have an old racket
Yeah.
and you want to change it because it's an old racket, you probably don't need to. You probably need a better reason to change it, like what some of the things we might go into. The fact that it's old,
2 caveats.
if it's really used.
If it's wood.
If it's, yeah,
it's
okay.
wood.
Let's put a
Or-
perspective on old, shall we?
Or if it's metal. If
Yeah.
it's metal, right? If it's aluminum or steel, then the difference between those and the graphite and the carbon rackets today is massive.
So let's just
Two
put a
caveats.
perspective on old. Let's throw out a random figure, maybe 20 years.
Yeah, I'd say
Yeah,
that's about
2010 onwards is not going to make, you don't need to change it because it's old, is the
right.
point
Yeah,
that I'm
not
making.
when you're getting back into it. Absolutely not.
Correct. So let's go into some of the variables and let's talk about some of the things that people have big questions on. So let's start with Philip. Talk us through head size. And talk
Yes.
us through it from two perspectives,
Okay.
please. Talk us through what the head size mean in terms of what they would give you.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll have a little bit of a chat as to, well, what do you want out of your head size?
Yeah.
What do you want out of your training, etc.?
So in general, when we talk about head size, we're talking about the part of the racket that contains the strings. That's just basic, right? And head size is the square inches, the amount of real estate, the area that is in that, right? So a smaller head size, say 93 square inches, we're on old school,
Very, very small head
very small
size.
head size nowadays, right? Just means there's 93 square inches of string space. Most of us rec players today are using a 100 square inch head size or larger, right? Depending.
The hundred's about the standard,
yeah.
average for a person that's been playing plenty of time.
Correct.
And
So that would be your E-Zone 100, your Pure Drive, your Babolat Pure Drive, your Wilson Ultra 100, right? So in general, the larger the head size, the more volume that the strings take up, the more power you will get out of the string or the string face in the racket in general. So if you see a 102 or a 105, that's going to be a quote unquote more powerful racket than something that's a 95, right?
which I think is a classic question that people have. Wait, I went online, I went on this website and I'm trying to pick a tennis racket. Do I pick the 100 square inch, the 102, the 105, the 110? And you've kind of got a couple of variables there, right? The
Yeah.
bigger head size is going to give you potentially, as Philip said, a more powerful racket.
Yeah.
And it's also going to give you a little bit more compensation
Yes.
for sweet spot misses.
Yes, that's
let's
correct.
say.
That's correct. And so if you're at the point in your game where you're actually beginning to have good mechanics and swing properly, then you've got to decide what you want out of your game. So when I first started with a 100 square inch Wilson Ultra, and as I developed mechanics, then I went to an EZO 100, and I did not have confidence in that racket because I just didn't feel like I was consistent, and it felt like sometimes I would swing hard and nothing would happen, and sometimes I would just touch the ball and the ball would launch. So I went extreme because that's how I am.
Flip it the other way.
I went to a V-Core 95.
Yeah.
Quite possibly one of the most modern, like low-powered rackets you could get. So I had to swing for the fence on every ball. And smaller head size, smaller sweet spot. So I didn't necessarily win or lose more or less, but it made me improve. It encouraged me to swing out, right? To swing more fully. So it made me be better that way. And because of the smaller head size, it made me get better about getting the ball in the center of the strings.
And that's the bit that I want to go into really quick is when you're choosing head size, it comes down to two questions, or one question with two outcomes. Am I picking a head size that's going to help me right now
Yes.
to go on court and potentially win right now and give the best with my game right now? In which case, choosing a larger head size can often help people.
Yes.
Again, it's not going to make all the difference as we've gone into today, but it can often help people
Yes.
to hit the ball more
Harder.
consistently in
Yes.
and more consistently harder. But if you're picking a racket for improving your game,
Right.
smaller head sizes and making your life more difficult
In the short
can
term.
often result in better outcome later on, as you need a little bit better technique.
Right.
You need better hand-eye coordination to hit the
Yes.
middle. You know, let's look at one of the biggest things that's come out in the last 5-10 years, which is that little saber racket.
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
With the
I played
little
with it.
strings in it,
Yeah.
or the wooden spoon, even
wooden
better.
spoon,
Anyone
yeah.
that's used a wooden spoon, write in, let us know, because that thing is hard.
Yeah.
I've seen, shout out to Eddie Jakes, who I've seen hit with the wooden spoon unbelievably well. But the guy's
I bet.
timing is
Yeah.
phenomenal. So that proves it right there. They're using these tools as training
Devices.
tools.
Yes.
And that's what it comes down to. Are you picking a racket to help you train and improve your game?
Right.
Or are you picking a racket to help you get the best out of your game right now?
And there's no wrong answer with that, right? I mean,
Correct.
some people want to go on court, they just want to play matches, and they want to go out and have fun and win, and that's great. No worries. If that's what you're wanting out of your tennis, there's nothing wrong with that. If you're an obsessive, such as myself, and you want to, obsess over every detail and improve, then, going for something that's going to force you to improve, right? It's going to make the game harder for you. Is going to be a better thing to do.
And that's the beauty of that. What I'm excited to get out to people is that often when they get that question answered, they don't get it with the perspective. So they say, hey, what racket should I use? And one expert is going to give them a racket that's going to help them improve in the long run because they're looking at it from that lens.
Yes.
Or another expert is going to say, oh, no, you definitely need this. And two experts can easily give two different rackets.
Yes.
But the perspective is neither are wrong.
Right.
They're just coming from a different
perspective. Yeah.
perspective as to what we're trying to get out of this player. And so when some people ask us, we don't have the time in our lessons to go through, well, what's the perspective here?
Right.
And go through all of that. But that's the biggest thing when it comes down to head size for me.
Yeah.
Let's talk about string pattern really quick, because again, it's not dissimilar of a conversation.
Correct. So again, back to my personal racket, I use, as I said, the 100.
This is not
my personal.
This is mine,
Yeah,
by the
that's
way.
yours.
Thank you, Bablat, for giving me this in 2025.
But I use the 100D, so that means it has 18 mains and 19 crosses. But the regular Percept 100 has 16 mains and 19 crosses. So what that means is mine has, the strings are closer together because there's two more mains, right?
People would describe that as a denser string
pattern,
pattern.
which is what the D stands for.
Bingo.
So the big difference that it makes in terms of how I actually hit with it, because I did try out the regular 100, the 1619, 16-19 string patterns tend to have a higher launch angle, right? So when the ball hits, it tends to come off the racket at a higher, steeper angle, okay? So if you don't really swing through the ball and kind of in a modern, spinny sort of trajectory, the ball can have a tendency to launch on you, and I don't like that. A lot of guys, everybody out there, you can hit with them all day long. This is just, again, personal preference.
Sure.
I have, I think, what is a more through and flatter stroke, right? I'm not whipping, and so I like that lower launch angle so that I know when I go a little higher that I'm going to get the trajectory I want. I want to be in control of the trajectory, the ball coming off the strings, not the racket.
And that's the key word right there that is often used on websites when you're picking out racket is control.
Yes.
Or often they do control versus power or control versus spin,
yes,
right?
Yeah.
So control would be a denser string pattern when you're looking on the website to pick out your racket and it says 16 times, it's got an X mark, 16x19, 16 times 19.
And mains are the ones that run from the tip of the racket to down towards the handle. Those are the mains. And then the ones that run the other way are the crosses because they go across the racket. It's really technical stuff.
And if you're picking it out and you pick a 16 by 19, that kind of, again, is your standard. But if you go 18 by 19, that is a denser string pattern, or 1820, which I used to use a long time ago, a denser string pattern. You'll feel more arguably in control is the variable that people ask about. Hey, how do I go for control in my strings?
Yes.
Pattern. You would go for a denser pattern. If you want the ball to launch with potentially more power or potentially more spin, you might pick a string pattern with less strings in the racket. I've seen as few as 15, 16 before.
Yes. So the 16-19s are as long, or yes, they have the high launch angle, but they also will being more open will give you more power off the strings, because what gives you the power in the spin is the strings moving and then snapping back. Moving and snapping back.
And it's really cool if you watch slow-mo videos of strings, you can really see them move.
Yeah. So that's the basic pattern. Your basic racket, rec level up to high 4.0, even 4.5 is 100 square inch, 16-19.
And as you go up through the higher levels, obviously I'll talk from a higher level perspective, and some of the high level juniors, you might play around with head sizes that are smaller and smaller and smaller, or bigger. Not rarely bigger than 100, but 100 would be big for an elite player. And you play around with head sizes and you play around with string patterns a little bit more. As you are that level, you start to really feel more of a difference, because your ability is higher, your kinesthetic feedback is better, so you're actually going to start making a difference on that. Notice Philip mentioned all the way up to 4.0, 4.5.
Yes.
I'm talking 5.0, college tennis, pro tour kind of stuff. So to put that into perspective of people, again, goes back to our opening statement. If you like it, you don't have to justify it. You don't even have to know why you like it.
That's right.
If you like it,
it feels good to you, and you feel confident swinging it, you're good.
Let's talk racket weight, which is another factor. Again, we're kind of going through, when someone wants to buy their racket, they go, well, what weight do I pick? What string pattern? What head size? So let's talk about weight. Heavy versus light.
I like a heavier racket.
Often I say this comes down to technique and strength.
Yes.
And those two factors are usually what I would look at when I start to tell people, hey, go as heavy as you feel comfortable with.
Yeah.
And often heavier can produce a bigger, heavier ball strike.
Yes.
However, when you start getting heavy enough, if you lose the ability to swing the racket fast with good mechanics, you've probably gone too far.
Yeah.
And so
in general,
put that into perspective.
Yeah, so in general, you're going to start with a 10.2 ounces.
Talking pounds and ounces. I'm going to talk grams because I'm
grams,
from
like
England.
that. Most of the, like I said, the 100 square inch 16-19s are probably around 300.
Yeah.
Which is
your bog standard.
11 ounces roughly, 10 or maybe like 10.8. It just depends. But honestly, it's when you're first starting out, go a little lighter. And then, once you get good mechanics, then you can start to explore a little bit heavier racket.
Yeah.
I really like the heavier, again, because getting it moving and just letting it bludgeon the ball and do more of the work for me.
I feel like with a heavier racket, you're going to feel like it might be harder to get going. But if you can swing up to the ball with a heavier racket, then through the ball, you're going to feel that weight carry over, and it might feel really good to you.
Yeah.
I want to just talk about lead tape really, really briefly.
Just don't.
People,
I've done it. I went through it, and I did all the videos of, if you put it here, it's more stable, and if you put it at the tip, it does all this stuff. And I'm here to tell you, you're not good enough.
what I would say with lead tape, see, I'm gonna come from it from a different perspective entirely.
Like I said, all the hot takes.
I'm fine with that. I'm actually a completely different perspective in terms of when people want a heavier racket or think they want a heavier racket, and they're going, hey, I have a Yonex or whatever, and I want to go up in weight.
I see where you're coming from.
Often, the first thing I tell people to do is stick a little bit of lead tape on it and see if you really like a heavier racket. I guess the easier thing to do would just be find a heavier racket and try it.
I would say demo it, because the reason being is I would say find the heavier racket and demo it, right? But
that's easy to do.
The reason I say that is because when you start to put lead tape anywhere in the hoop, right up here, in the head where the strings are, or if you put it in the throat, I've done that before.
You mess with the entire makeup of the racket.
You mess the balance of the racket.
Yeah.
So even if you get it to, let's say your racket's a 10.2 ounce racket, and you're like, oh man, I think I want to try a heavier one. So you put lead tape on it, and you get it up to 11.5 ounces strung, and you go out and you hit with it, and you're like, oh, I feel so good. And then you go buy a racket that is 11.5 ounces strung, it is going to feel nothing like what you just played with, because the balance is going to be different. So to get the equivalent of a racket that's just built that way, you have to really know what you're at to know where the balance points and stuff, and have the machines that balance them and all that stuff. So
I guess our conclusion here would be
just borrow a heavier racket.
Yeah, I guess our conclusion here would be borrow a heavier racket. And I think that's a nice thing to just be able to tell people, like, hey, lead tape sounds great. I personally think it can be a way of just experimenting. Do I like heavier? But with regards to just having people aware of what lead tape does, if you put lead tape on the racket and you don't know what you're doing, it's going to change the complete makeup of the racket. Correct. I think that's a good point to make for people. So that's a good thing to touch upon with regards to lead tape. Let's talk through grip size, because grip size is a really interesting one. I never looked into it until I realized how small my hands were. I might have the smallest human hands of all time.
Okay.
So, pring hands. I've never met someone with smaller hands. And I've always used a standard, which is 4 3/8,
yes.
which is your kind of bog standard. Again, we're talking standards today. We've got the 100 square inch head is a standard, 16/19 string pattern is a standard, 300 grams is a standard, and 4 3/8 is a standard. That's kind of your middle of the road.
Yes.
What do you think about grip sizes?
I think start with the 4 3/8, and there's no reason to go up or down unless you start having issues. Unless you you start having grip issues, then you can experiment with a smaller grip or a bigger grip, or unless you just know, like if you're a petite lady,
like myself,
and and you just know you have small hands, then you would want to go down to the quarter.
Yeah.
Almost no one. I mean, I have pretty beefy hands,
and you're not going to go.
And I'm not going up to a 1/2. There's just no need for it. It's just, and it actually can inhibit mobility in terms of switching grips and doing things. So I think from almost everybody, 80 to 90% of everybody, the 3/8 is going to be fine. And if you're a very slight and petite person, or maybe a junior still,
and I think that's the biggest
quarter.
Message when people are trying to buy a racket. It's 4 3/8 is your standard. Choose that, unless you have a very good reason to go maybe smaller, if you're like myself and have extraordinary small hands.
Now, the one thing of, if you're on the fence, you can go with a smaller grip because you can increase the size. Now it will change it a little bit, but there are neoprene sleeves, basically heat shrink sleeves. So if you got the quarter, I'm like, I really don't like it, you don't have to sell the racket and think, oh, I wasted $200 or $300. You can get a heat sink sleeve and a heat shrink sleeve, and you can take off the overgrip and the grip, and you can put that sleeve on it, heat gun it, shrink it down, it will increase the thickness, and then you put a grip and overgrip back on it. But more than likely, you're going to know if you need the smaller grip. Go 4 3/8 and you should be fine.
I want to talk tennis elbow, Philip. Tennis elbow is a big reason why people change strings, rackets, head size, all sorts. They say, hey, I'm really hurting. let's make the first point to our listeners that if you have good technique,
You probably don't have tennis elbow.
correct. The biggest fix for tennis elbow is not a racket switch.
Is fix your technique.
It's fix your technique. Now, with that being said,
With that being said,
I want to point out some of the things people will have heard before because we're talking this may help, but we're talking it may help to a very minor percentage degree. And if you find something that helps you and this helps you, fantastic. I don't, encourage you to not try these things, but the idea here is if you're hurting on a tennis court, go see a coach because something is biomechanically wrong.
Yes, absolutely.
So, people for tennis elbow often try and have more grips on the racket to increase the grip size so they're not squeezing as tightly. Have you ever heard that one? That's a
No.
great one.
No.
I have heard plenty of success with that. If you're not squeezing as tightly, then you're going to be a little bit looser on the racket.
But that's a mechanical thing because you shouldn't be death grip.
All of these are mechanical things.
Okay.
Philip.
All right. Sorry.
All
All
of
right,
these
all
are
right.
mechanical
I mean,
things.
I guess it could work.
But for our listeners, I want to point out some of the
I
things
think you're
they've
just gonna.
heard plenty.
I think you're just going to death grip a bigger grip.
Maybe. I've heard that one work in the past.
Okay.
Let's talk about dampeners because that one will not work.
No.
And that's the one that people have all sorts of crazy looking dampeners on the thing.
Yeah.
Let's talk through dampeners
Yeah.
real
So
quick.
so they've done, and some of these papers you can. Tennis Warehouse has a Tennis Warehouse University where they've actually done a lot of like scientific research on this stuff. Dampeners do dampen nothing except sound. That's it.
Yep.
They do not keep vibrations from coming down the string, coming through the strings into the racket into your hand. That's been disproven. They don't do anything but dampen sound.
Absolutely.
So yeah, so sorry to burst the bubble there. I personally recommend for people not to play with them because that's one more thing you have to worry about, and it goes flying off in the middle of the match because you hit the ball on it, and now you're worried about your next shot of like, oh, it doesn't feel right because of my dampener and it doesn't sound right. Well, if you just learn to play without the dampener, then you don't have to worry about all that.
You get used to it either way. I used to not play with one. Now I do. You get used to it.
But it's just one less thing you have to worry about coming off and do I have it and all that kind of stuff if you just learn how to play with not with that one. But that's a personal thing.
And then the other thing that you hear all the time with, we'll start with tennis elbow, but we'll really get into it from a different perspective. We'll finish with the tennis elbow stuff. But strings, what kinds of strings you have? So often strings are advertised as body friendly, which is just kind of bad advertising, to be honest with you. But they say, oh, it's going to feel better on your arm, etc., etc. Maybe it's a little bit softer on your arm. I understand that perspective. Again, guys, it's not going to fix injuries. Injuries are a biomechanical problem. We need T-shirts that say something like that. Like injuries are biomechanical. But let's talk about strings. Let's talk about what they can do for people and maybe a couple of variables people are looking for.
Yeah. So the two main categories. There's some outliers, but two main categories you have are polyester strings, and these are basically they're just plastic, right? They're just various types of plastics, or multi-filaments, which are also kind of plastics, but they're meant to mimic the sort of feel and style of gut, which was like the original tennis string, right? And they can still come in different colors and everything too. On the whole, multi-filaments typically are going to be softer and typically are not going to give you, as much spin. However, they will give you a little more free power on the whole. Right now, all of these strings gets really funky because there's so much variety nowadays, and then it depends also on what tension you put them out. Polyester is super popular right now. Pros are pretty much all polyester now. You still have some guys crossing with gut and stuff, but mostly polyester. Juniors are growing up now hitting with polyester. Most times I hit with a full bed of polyester.
They come in different sizes.
Different sizes, different colors.
Different thickness, gauge, things like that.
It's a lot to go into, but in general, the polyesters are generally sold as going to give you more spin, okay?
Whereas the multi-filament,
it's generally a little more power. Now, and softer. So
a little bit better softness, feel for the ball, maybe, things like that.
But there's a lot to get into there with, the tension and all that kind of stuff. My recommendation for you just starting out, and again, because I went through all this, I played with all the strings, I did hybrid. I mean, again, I nerd out on things. You're getting started, go get some multi-filaments. One, they're cheaper. and 2, you're not going to know the difference, and
Yep.
3, you're not going to be swinging hard enough to make the polyesters really work.
Bingo.
So go get some multi-filaments. They'll be cheaper,
And if you're a high level, go get yourself some polyester.
but string it lower than you think. String it at 48, no more than that. But anyway, but yeah, start with multi-filaments. If you're a 3-5 basic player, rec level, that's probably going to be fine. You can noodle around with multi or with polys and stuff. But I will say it's also kind of like a racket. If you see a string alike and it's in some wild color that you think goes well with your racket,
Put it in there.
put it in there. You're gonna hit fine with it. You're not gonna know the difference, and you're gonna like it, and you're gonna think I'm cool.
And that brings us back to our
Not
main
that I've ever
point.
done that. Never coordinated my strings with my racket. I'm just saying.
And that brings us back to the I've seen some pretty cool blades lately with the green and the
Yeah.
green Hyper G strings. I'm kind of digging it.
Right.
I'm like, maybe I should try some of those out because one of the members at the club we work at, he strung his new blade, which is nice green color with
Yeah.
some green strings. I was
Yeah.
like, I don't know, maybe I'd play really well with that because it looks great.
The new V-Core, the new Yonex V-Core, in that shiny-ish red. Put some black strings in that sucker. That looks good. It looks good.
Kind of like
good.
some like Star Wars
Yeah,
type vibe.
exactly.
Yeah, I like it. But it goes back to our main point, which is at the end of the day, I think it comes down to some people will love to geek out on this stuff.
Yes.
Some people will love to try and find the extra degree. We're in Huntsville, Alabama, guys. Engineer, nerds everywhere. We love it. And people really enjoy their time
Yes.
exploring it, talking about it, and that's great. We want to encourage that. Strings can help to a minor degree, rackets can help to a minor degree. It can help, you can feel good with it. And that's our message. If you look good and you like it, you don't even have to justify it. If you like the way it feels, great. But there are plenty of people out there that go, oh gosh, I don't want to deal with any of this.
Yep.
And I don't have a clue what I'm talking about, and it's the least interesting thing to me in the world, and I just want a racket that I can like and play with.
That's right.
Pick the color you like.
Pick the color you like. Get the strings color you like.
Yep.
And
Maybe
if
tailor a couple of variables. We've encouraged you guys, hey, think about the weight. What might be a little heavy for me?
Right.
The head size. What am I looking for in terms of, am I looking to try and really improve my game and make life difficult,
Yes.
or am I trying to just get out there and hit the ball around? In
Right.
which case, go for a bigger head size. And your grip size, you go in 4 3/8, and you're good to go.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
pick a color you like, and you're good to go. My first racket I picked because it was yellow. I loved it.
I don't remember why I picked the first one. That
You get given it?
no,
You probably got given
No,
it.
I didn't. And then actually, I forgot the second one I went to, and this was back in the day. They don't even make them anymore. It was a 115 square inch.
Oh wow!
It was
big,
really
big
big.
dog. Yeah.
When I got a hold of the ball, holy moly, it was a cannon. Now,
Yeah.
I had no clue where the ball was going.
Yeah. No feel for it at all.
But if I got a hold of it, that ball was not coming back. Now, I rarely got a hold of it properly because I didn't know how to swing properly. So it didn't do me much good ultimately in terms of winning more matches, which is
Yeah,
what I thought
yeah.
was going to make me better, right?
I understand. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. So, trivia time, Philip.
No, it's not. We got to cover one more topic.
Go for it.
Shoes.
Shoes. Shoes.
Shoes.
This can be a quick one because it's easy.
It's super easy. Find the shoe that fits you well,
Yep.
and then buy about 12 pairs of it. I'm dead serious.
Yep.
Find a shoe that fits your foot, right? Get fitted properly. Find a shoe that you like, that you can play on, and then buy as many of them as you can afford.
Because
They will change it the next year, and I will keep it clean, but they will mess it up.
yeah.
And so you will be on if you only buy, I only need a pair right now. Oh, and then 3 months from now, you're like, oh, I've worn through these, I need another pair, and it's the changeover on the models. Now you're shoe shopping again.
Because the entire framework of the inside of the shoe has gone
Completely different. So now
advertised as the same,
but it won't be.
but it won't be.
And so now you're trying to find another shoe that fits you as good, and maybe that year there isn't one that works as well. So buy every freaking color.
How
Buy 2
many
of it.
shoes
I have a dozen.
do you have in your cupboard?
I literally have a dozen of the New Balance.
This will
Rally
picture
X.
of his wardrobe is going to be released in the next
I've
2
got
weeks
a,
on
actually, it's in my
social media.
office. I've got a dozen in my office, and I just bought another pair this past week because it was a new color. And so next year, when they change the color or you change the actual model of the shoe, and it doesn't fit me as well, I've got like 2 or 3 years worth of shoes.
I'm going to genuinely be posting. I'm going to
Yeah.
do some snooping, and there'll be proof of Philip's shoe collection.
I'm not even ashamed
So,
about it.
no, I'd be proud of that. How many
So-
different colors?
Every color that they've got and then put out yet.
I love it. Do you wear them, we're getting on a tangent now, but do you wear them simultaneously or do you wear one until it goes out? Are you color matching?
Well, I used to. But
So
now
I'd be color matching the heck out of those guys.
I used to. Now mainly I've got typically 2 or 3 pair that I rotate through, and that way they'll last a little longer.
That makes sense. And trivia time.
Trivia time. Okay, so
I'm excited for my question, First of all, last week
messed up.
I was straight wrong.
Yes.
Perrier French Open.
Yes.
100%.
I had one right.
Digwart right here. Totally wrong. So there you go. I'll own it.
I had one right.
All right, I'm excited for trivia. I love a bit of trivia.
Okay, so this is gear related.
Okay.
Okay, so
Get this right. Come on.
first rackets, right, and for many years still played with were wooden rackets.
Yes.
Rackets were made out of wood.
Yes.
So who was the first player to win a Grand Slam title with a non-wooden racket?
Oh my gosh.
Bonus points if you know what the racket was and what year.
Oh my gosh. The first graphite racket Grand Slam. It'll be out.
No,
it won't be graphite.
I said the first
non-wood.
non-wood racket to win a Grand Slam.
Okay. Let's go with. Might it be like Lendl? I'm going Lendl.
Okay. That's wrong.
Locking in Lendl.
That's wrong.
Wrong? Can I guess the racket?
Sure.
Spalding.
Nope.
Give it to me.
Billie Jean King
Okay.
with a Wilson T2000,
Okay.
which was metal,
Yep.
in 1967.
1967.
Yeah,
Wow. What year was Lendl? 70s.
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 All right, now, bonus question, because we're still on gear.
Okay.
But this is string related.
Okay.
Who was the first player to win a Grand Slam title using non-natural gut string?
Wow. Non-natural gut string. First Grand Slam player to win a title.
Bonus if you know the year and the string.
No shot am I getting this. I have no idea what time frame I'm looking at. At least I kind of had an idea wooden racket time frame. Okay. I have no idea when gut was not used anymore, but I'm thinking, don't give me clues because I really like to just do this honest. I'm thinking that gut was used all the way through the 80s. So I'm thinking 90s right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go early 90s. Let's go with, let's go 8. Let's just throw out like McEnroe with a polyester. I have no idea.
Okay,
Who is
no.
it? Don't say Billie Jean King or I'll lose it.
No.
Okay.
Gustavo Kuerten,
2000s?
Nope.
2002?
97 French
Okay.
Open,
Oh, wow. Yeah,
also topical,
cool.
um,
I remember him wearing the red.
with Luxilon Big Banger.
Wow.
He was one of the first people to convert to to a full bed of polyester.
was
A
in
lot
the
of people then,
90s.
Luxilon Alu Power had come out, but people were still hybriding it a lot with the,
Wow. Did any one of our listeners know that? That is the
Yeah.
question. I will be absolutely impressed if anyone knew that. Please write in and tell us that you knew that.
deep cuts.
All right, pod preview for next week. We're going types of training, how to balance your training schedule so you have enough of everything that's going to make you help you improve. I think this podcast is all about improvement, and so often people don't really understand the time you spend on court. You need to do some various training types to get the best out of your tennis. So we're going to go into types of training next week.
That loops it back around to episode 1 with the
Absolutely.
the 4 aspects of tennis.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I
very
think there'll be a lot of
Synergy there.
entwining
Yeah.
between some of our
Absolutely.
things. Pod dedication this week. I'm gonna send it to this person and try and find them because I haven't spoken to this person for maybe 10 plus years.
Okay.
Chris Welfare, someone who I used to hit with in England,
Okay.
who was a good bit older than me and used to string my rackets. And I loved this guy.
Nice.
What an absolute legend. Chris Welfare, I'm going to message you this week. I haven't messaged you for maybe 10 years. I'm going to try and reach out to you on Facebook or something. One memory of Chris Welfare is that he used to bring my racket with these bright, shiny green strings, like dark green shiny, and I used to think it's the coolest thing ever. I had no idea what strings are in there. I was playing, high-level tournaments, had no idea what I was doing, which brings us back to our main point, which is it's not gonna make that much difference.
Yeah.
All right, so a couple of quotes. We've got a paraphrase from Novak Djokovic here, which is, equipment can help, but the player makes the difference.
Yes.
And that's our number one quote.
Yeah.
And then our last quote for today is Andre Agassi, image is everything.
Image is everything. And for you youngsters, go look that up. There'll be some funny pictures.
All right, we'll see you next time.
All right.
Thanks for listening to Game Set and Chat. If you enjoyed hanging out with us, make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. We'll see you next time. Until then, just keep swinging.